Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So what I'm going to do now is a summary of current situation, both where I stand personally and in my research. I hope it's not going to be a too long video. And I think it's needed. First, I should address the issue of I spoke in the last couple of days or even weeks. I spoke about the history of the international situation, about the Titanic abuse, about that there were male titans. Creatures from Venus that were forced to do all sort of like raids. Using the gate, but they were actually to bring both men and women, whatever they can find, and children, and also other stuff as well, material goods from there. But they were actually slaves and were abused severely, and eventually many of them just committed suicide because endless torture from the side of the Israelis. I would also add to this that the society in Israel, pressured them very hard not to have sexual relationships with Venusians, female Venusians, and it was actually very easy to do it. Not because they were actually homosexual by nature, or as many Israeli, disgusting people of the intelligence community, spread the rumor, because that's what they do, but because, no, it's entirely ridiculous to think that, males of parallel species and in parallel planet would all be homosexuals or pedophiles. No, it's ridiculous. This is what, this characterizes the scumbags of the Shabak and the Mossad, but not the entire male population of Venus. Of course, the Israelis didn't want to have such a relationship because they wanted, as now they wanted to control, the alien population, because they are slaves, the population should be controlled. But actually, the fact that why it was easy is because they were afraid of females, even, in Venus. Even without the intervention of the Israelis, they were afraid of females. And to explain that, it's kind of complicated because, and I don't know the whole story. It's a complicated story that I know only. I've never been in Venus. I'm not Venusian. A Venusian. I belong to a third species, and I hope that you've seen enough to understand. To positively that it was positively proved so many times. On this channel, you can see it by your own eyes, both with the fire experiment and even more so, the electric magnetism, and even more so, by viewing the nanobots under the microscope. But I know that even in Venus, situation, the relationship, the relationship between men and women wasn't, it wasn't a very happy one. And again, it's Paleolithic society, so we don't even know. Not much is known about Earth during the Paleolithic era. So it's really difficult to compare. We can only compare to what we have on sort of mythologies regarding our own. When I say our, it's not mine, but our from the point of view of the Homo sapiens. I grew up like a Homo sapiens, so from this point of view, there is little to compare. Of course, we have our own mythologies and images. We have all been in the New York National Natural History Museum, so we've seen the dioramas, and we've seen the Neanderthal families and the Macro-Magnon families, and etc. So okay, but we don't really know for sure how it was, and maybe it was changed during millions of years of evolution. So, but what is certain is that it's not an easy planet, Venus, and the relationship is not very is screwed. I mean, I don't know if it was always like that, or maybe it's not all everywhere like that. I mean, maybe only humans only had contact with people that close to the gate, but maybe there was a whole lot of planets that things are different over there. I just don't know. What I do know is that the males were already, they were suspicious and towards the Venusian females. So it wasn't that hard for the Israelis to manipulate them to avoid the romantic or sexual relationships with those women. As the situation was, hostile to begin with. Not that they were, they were not homosexuals. They were attracted to females, but they were afraid because in general, fear was their main characteristic, because they came from a very hostile planet, and here they were slaves. So and there was treated like subhumans by the Israelis. So you can understand that these such creatures, fear will be their main characteristics. Anyway, much of it belonged to the past. As now we are, this is mostly history, and that history that is well known, especially by the large countries, the strong countries of the world, like the United States, Russia, England. Part of the solution was to send more pedophile and homosexual scumbags from all over the world to Israel, so they will be able to marry these Venusians females. I've spoken enough about it, and I don't want to enter it. To repeat myself. I will. What's currently is perhaps unknown to everyone. By now it is known, but during the last maybe 10 or 15 years, the relatively new circumstances that I'm not sure who knew what. I guess again the Americans knew everything, and because they follow me all my life, or at least since the early 2000s, which means 20 years, something like 20 years. So the situation is that the Israelis discovered that I produce, from my semen or other fluids from my body, the matter that I call the neros, those nanobots or microbots, and these are very handy for the Venusian females. And it probably in the past, they had way to actually get it from the planet itself. But it wasn't easy, and probably it was some of the ways to achieve it were closely related to all sorts of cannibalism, and you could argue that it still is, but you be the judge of that. So they needed to it's difficult for me to understand why, because I'm not one of them. I understand it makes their life longer and better, but I don't completely understand in what ways. So they discovered that they can get it from me, but they didn't want to tell me anything about it, because the best way from their point of view was to enslave me completely. So because that's how Israelis are, and the Venusian females that live in Israel, after a long time here, they were fully acclimated to the Israeli ways, which means enslave whatever you can and be the worst possible human being that you can. And again, they are married to each other, more than one way, not in a sexual way, but הלך הזרזיר אצל העורב, as they say. Shitty person went found other shitty persons to do business together. So it's not that surprising that after so many years together, I mean, they got used to their ways. So the female titans or Venusians, they thought to themselves, yeah, I mean, it's totally, I mean, viable option to just get it from this poor person and just enslave him all his life and to make sure that he's under our boot. And also our pedophile bosses in the Shabak and the Mossad, they fully approve of that because, I mean, that's I mean, their general way of how they treat people. So yeah, sure, let's do it. So they just took it from the trash. I mean, and for that to happen, I mean, it was imperative that I will not have a wife and I will not have sexual relationships, something that was very easy for them to take care of. I mean, it's not hard for like the Shabak to enslave a person and to follow him always and to make sure that he has no he can't have sex and he's not married. It's very easy, and I mean that was the main goal, and it's a goal that is easy to achieve, and they achieved it very well. And although, as I said, during the at least last four years, I myself I abstain from sexual relationship because I know that for a fact that it's extremely dangerous. I mean, I know that the Shabak will use it against me, and then that they will ask, I mean, that they will, as they already did, send like men also, because why not? I mean, why should we also, I mean, men can also rape. I mean, they're all homosexuals there, and they like to rape. So of course, it's the right to rape the slave robot as well. And if he refuses, I mean, we can just send all the females that had sex with him to the police to just complain that he raped them. I mean, why not? Right? Of course. I mean, so I mean, when this thing started to happen, I understood that, I mean, sex is very dangerous, and of course, they don't. I mean, that was actually that was their purpose. They fully achieved their purpose because they prefer to get it from the garbage. And if I do not masturbate, they also have ways to actually make me do it, and I will discuss it later because it's something that I haven't discussed yet. So I mean, they had me. I mean, from this point of view, from this aspect, they had me right where they wanted during the last 4 or 5 years. No sexual relationship, no. I mean, just masturbating, and they take it from the garbage. Of course, much of it is lost. It's this extremely inefficient way. They only get a little bit of it, and should I also add, I mean, it's not research at all. I mean, which is a shame because, I mean, if it was like known in the public, if I knew about it, if I had a chance to actually myself conduct research on it, I mean, the benefits from humankind could have been amazing, and now you will get nothing. I mean, humanity will get nothing of the amazing benefits that it could have. This could have launched a new industrial revolution, and you've already seen enough to understand that it's not an understatement. It could have raised the quality of standard worldwide as much. I mean, in comparable way to the rise of quality of living that was followed during the industrial revolution, mainly in the 19th century, but into the 20th century. But all this will never happen because, I mean, I would rather die than give this anything of it to humanity, which, I mean, consistently treats me as a slave. But Israelis do not care at all about it because why should they? I mean, they only want to eat it. They only wanted to eat it. I mean, for the Venusians, for the Shabak, and I mean, the rest of, I mean, everything else. I mean, that doesn't matter for them at all. These are all facts. It's not an interpretation. These are facts that you can, I mean, validate by just watching the videos in this channel. That's the way the Israelis are, and the rest of the world. I mean, well, they also, I mean, what they also did, which is kind of like, I mean, when you come to understand Israelis and the Shabak and the Mossad and how they operate, it's kind of like, I mean, a no-brainer that they actually did it. I mean, you don't even need to explain why, because they actually, I mean, that's the standard way of action. But they also, I mean, conducted a smear campaign against me for many years. I mean, with fake videos of me, I mean, homosexual and pedophile, and all sorts of things that I learned to understand that this is like, I mean, they actually, I mean, they always do it to everybody that they think that they're the target, which you don't even need to mention it because it's so obvious that they will do it, and they did it. And I mean, during the last couple of years when I discussed this issue, I found like several reasons why should they do it. I mean, from their point of view, and what they try to achieve. But in reality, I mean, they did it. I mean, yeah, they achieved all sorts of tactical gains from the smear campaign, but they did it's in reality they did it just because that's what they do. That's what they are. That's what they do. They just do. That's what they do. Spread rumors and fake videos, and I mean that's the way. You don't even need to explain why, because they do it to everybody that is they consider their target or enemy or whatever. These are the people. People, I mean, many people, I mean, around the world prefer to, for some stupid reason, to believe this stupid campaign, and which didn't make any sense at all. But probably they just didn't care much. Maybe if they knew about the potential of this nanobots for the benefits of humanity, they treated me differently. But I mean, you see that now they know, and they didn't. I mean, the only thing that is operated with more force is the mouse. I mean, the mouse and tongue. And Israelis do not care much about mouses and tongues. I mean, they are the champions of moving mouses and tongues. They only care about stick on the head, and that's a fact, because that's what they are. That's what they are. So what happened during the last year and more than that is that I understood that they wanted that thing for me, and I took measure to just they won't get it, and they were not optimal, but I mean they were more and more efficient with time, and as a result the Israelis just just got crazy and started to torture me in inconceivable ways, take my children from me, frame me for things that I haven't done, and put me in arrest, and took care that I will not have any money, and of course that's where I stand. I'm arrested still without any logic. It's like 3 months after something that is incredibly minor, and no reason for this arrest, and I stuck here in my mother's apartment, and of course my mother and her husband are part of this of the Shabak, of course. So yeah, and I'm subjected to psychological and physical torture, which I've explained a lot, and I will elaborate more today about this issue, because some points need elaboration. But of course I cannot see my daughters, which is a crime against humanity. And I mean, what I can guarantee is to everyone that listens that and there is, you will pay for this. When I say you, I don't mean the Israelis. They are all dead. Like, if not today, tomorrow. The rest of the world. You messed up with the wrong species. I did not come from Venus. Venusians do not have billions of nanobots in their body, and nanobots that even like a spoonful of them is enough to create enough energy to propel a small rocket, and that is a fact. And that is a fact. And that is a fact. The amount of energy that was needed in order to create me is something that you cannot even imagine. The generator that was needed in order to create me was, the electrical output of it was much larger than the electrical output of the entire Earth. And it's an understatement. And you've seen enough to understand that it's true just by watching the YouTube videos. The flames that you've seen yesterday were just, made on the remnants from wax from the day before, and actually most of it was not even burned yet, and I reheated it into another can that I'm going to fire today, but not in this house, but outside. And so it's a remnant of a little bit of wax that I boiled with a spoon of the nero juice, and the nero of itself is mostly iodine and pee and alcohol, and it's only like a fraction of it is actually my sperm, and my sperm is actually, it is not full of nero. So I mean, the quantity of the nanobots that were actually used for to ignite, I mean, the fire that you've seen yesterday is minuscule. It's something like, I mean, it's almost nothing. My body contains, like, I mean, probably millions and millions or billions, I mean, this amount. And that's a fact. I mean, you've seen, I mean, I can't hide anything from you. You take, I mean, I'm under surveillance all day, and I don't even try to hide what I do. I jerked off, and not many times, because I mean, and you should also be mentioned. It should also be said that, I mean, the Israelis are constantly bombarding my room with, I mean, with radiation. And in a while I will elaborate more how. So and much of, like, what I've like, I don't store much of my sperm. So, like, it was maybe like 3 or 4 days that I masturbated and put it, like, inside a can with mostly alcohol and whatever, iodine and things like that, and a little bit of junk, and I mean, and like 1 spoon of it was mixed with wax, and just a little part of this wax was put in candles, and even that, I mean, just little remnants of it were enough to create fire. That, I mean, it was, I mean, so hot that it could just, I mean, put flames to frame of wood in a couple of seconds. And again, most of the actual nanobots that were placed in it are still there, because most of the material wasn't even burned yet. And my body contained millions, if not billions, times the amount of, like, nanobots that, I mean, were existed in this tiny little, I mean, spoon. So yeah, in order to create me, I mean, the generator that was in it was just a generator that, I mean, with an output, like, electrical capacity that, I mean, greatly exceeded the electrical output of the entire Earth. And I mean, I can't even calculate, like, the energy that is actually stored inside my body, because it's actually, it's not that easy, because, I mean, it's not the nanobots themselves that that are burned, as we've seen, but actually what's burned is the wax that was, I mean, mixed with the nanobots. So it's actually much more complicated than that, because, I mean, it's not. I mean, because how do we know it? Because, I mean, in the past I've burned, like, my sperm, and you didn't see this effect. You only see this effect when you actually put the sperm on the wax itself and let it, like, I mean, mix for some time, and you see that the longer you let it mix, I mean, the bigger the effect. So, I mean, it's not, like, easy to, I mean, it's not that the nanobots burns and then you see the energy. The energy is stored. I mean, the nanobot somehow manipulates the wax to be much more, I mean, to contain much more energy than what was stored before. In any case, I mean, dissolution of my body, or explosion, or I don't know how to call it, the destruction of my body, where the nanobots, I mean, release all the potential energy into, I mean, energy of heat, will probably, I mean, exceed like a hydrogen bomb in like a million times, and this is an underestimation. And I mean, it's not a threat. It's something that you can just calculate yourself just by watching the videos. Nothing more is needed. So, I mean, I think that it's enough for you to positively understand that I am not a male Venusian. I did not come from this planet. It's impossible that Paleolithic society could have produced something like myself. How is it possible? It's not possible because it's not true. No, it's not true. So you messed with the wrong species. I mean, yes, you enslaved the Venusians and it was a mistake, but now it's even a bigger mistake because you messed with the wrong people. And no, I'm not the last of my kind, and no, I'm not like a remnant of a forgotten civilization. You can be certain that whoever produced me could produce trillions like me with ease. And yet you choose to take my daughters from me, to enslave me, to torture me, to keep me a prisoner of war in this hell that is called Israel. Why? The Israelis just don't care about anything. They are just hungry alligators. And the rest of the world, they like to talk. They like to move their mouths and tongues. Okay, so I will go to finish my lunch now, and then I will elaborate more on how exactly, I mean, the radiation torture and the magnetic torture is happening here in Israel, because it's something that I haven't spoken about yet. And also, I will speak about my what do I really want to achieve with my research. I mean, regarding, I mean, fire. I mean, it's a whole like a new field of research. I mean, it's different from the research into electricity and magnetism, and also research different from the research that we had with regards to, I mean, life and the creation of life-like entities.